The Astro Dice are three 12-sided cubes, and I have them in my hands, and they're different colors, blue, green, and purple. One of them has the planetary symbols on them, one has the zodiac symbols, and one has numbers from 1 through 12. And the way they work is you just rub them up in your hand, you think of any question that you'd like to have answered, you roll them, and you get a planet symbol, a zodiac sign symbol, and a number. That corresponds in astrology to planet, sign, and house, which is how astrologers typically delineate. And what I do is I interpret the symbols, and then I put all the information together to answer your questions. So there's a lot of different components. There's the knowledge of understanding the symbols, the astrological archetypes, the symbols, and then the intuitive faculty to make sense of all that, combine all that together, and make it relevant to you in your situation and your life. So there's a few layers there that go together. Now, why does this work? I mean, why in the world would three pieces of colored cubes, provide amazing insight? And the answer is that in every moment of time, there is a unique energy, frequency, whatever you want to call it, state, and everything that happens in that moment is synchronized. And this may not be immediately evident to you, but if you do your own experiments, your own sorting out, you can discover for yourself that this is actually true, and it's verifiable and duplicatable in your own life. If you're curious and you'd like to experiment with this and learn, I'm always available to help you to make those discoveries and connections for yourself. In any event, but the proof is always in the pudding, as I like to say. So if you experiment with Astro Dice and you experience them for yourself, even though you might not have some scientific explanation you can tell your uncle, you are still going to have a core direct experience of amazement that this is right on the money, that is right accurate, that is literally as if it's with you, it's inside of you, it's reflecting of your exact situation and circumstance. And sometimes the answers that you get are extremely simple, like a simple answer like, yes, you're on track, go for it, have fun. And sometimes the answers are completely the opposite, like some real deep, insightful information or suggestion of that you do some deep exploration or inquiry, or maybe that there are some blocks or issues going on for you that are worthy of looking at, or something interpersonal between you and another person. I mean, it could be anywhere, but we get whatever the answer is that's important. Now, let me expand on this a tiny bit. You can ask one question and get one answer, but you can also have a complete understanding of a situation that you're in life by simply saying to the dice, wow, that's great, tell me more. This is my favorite thing to say to the dice, tell me more. And when you ask for it to tell me more, they start describing the facets of the diamond. So if you think of a diamond that has the different facets to it, they'll describe the different facets and start painting the picture of the whole situation that you're in. I do this all the time myself. It's completely mind-blowing because a lot of situations we're in life are not, one-dimensional. They're not one thing going on. There's multiple things going on, and it's very valuable and important to get a sense of all the factors that are weighing in. Now, sometimes people have private questions that they don't want to tell me. They want the answer, but they don't want to tell me the question. And so I always say that's not a problem at all. I can easily answer your question without knowing what it is. The only difference is that if I know the question, I will give you more detail in the answer because I'll have more data to go with. But I'm not dependent on knowing the question to give you the answer. And let's see, what else? If you have any knowledge of astrology, even a minimal knowledge of the symbol or astrology, then you're going to have a really wonderful time because You're going to be able to build on that knowledge. You're going to be able to build on what you already know. You can have your own intuitive insights, and you're going to track along with me on my reasoning process of how I reach the conclusion or the answer. You can see this is not hocus pocus. I'm taking exact symbols with exact ranges of meanings. I'm putting them together in a reasonable way. And then you can see that the answer is derived from exactly what the dice was that you rolled. Now, if you're not physically present with me, not a problem. You just need to tell the universe that you give me permission to roll the dice for you. So I roll the dice with the universe. No, I'm a conduit or a whatever surrogate conduit, whatever you want to call it, and they will react accordingly. I've had dozens upon dozens of situations of people getting really profound insights on situations, problems that they've had in their life for years. The greatest benefit with Astro Dice comes when you're open to your inner growth journey and your inner growth process, and you're not dealing with situations on a purely circumstantial, physical level. The dice will sometimes deal in strategy or action or the outer world or business or money or whatever. And sometimes they will talk about your inner world, your inner reality, your emotions, your feelings, your beliefs, etc. And they'll go back and forth sometimes between the two. So having a holistic and broad outlook is extremely beneficial. Now, if you're the kind of person that's been pretty linear, intellectual in your life for most of your life and dealing things very much in practical, measurable terms, which of course is a large part of our population, the Astro Dice will often have a tendency to be the catalyst for opening yourself up to other layers and levels and areas where you don't typically look. And that is the arena where such a tremendous amount of big paradigm shifts and transformations can happen. Because when you first realize, wow, my inner world and my outer world are mirror reflections of each other, and if I change one, I change the other one, usually very quickly, then that is, of course, a complete transformation. And that's one of the main reasons that I do Astro Dice with people, is because I want to give them that opportunity to make those bigger shifts. So the Astro Dice are a good tool for getting an introduction to astrology. They're great on a few levels because you learn the symbols, you learn their meanings, and you start to make connections between real life situations and knowledge and guidance that's available to us all the time in regards to what we're going through. So there's a very simple, direct, immediate correlation between those things. And so they're also fun. It's like a game, so it's fun. And you can ask light and frivolous questions as well as the personal questions. Okay, so the way this differs from serious astrology practiced by professionals is that in serious astrology, initially you're working with something called a natal birth chart. What is a natal birth chart? A natal birth chart is like taking a photograph or snapshot of a moment in time. So when you are a newborn baby and you take the first breath of air into your lungs with your own intention to breathe, we consider that in astrological terms the moment of birth, because breath and life, go together. And we simply take a photograph, as I said, of where all the planets are in that moment. But we're not living in 1643 where we have to use a telescope and we have to map it all, because in today's world, the software does all the work for us. It knows where all the planets are in every moment, in every second, and it can calculate and do these very complex calculations and tell us precisely what your birth chart looks like. And it can analyze all the mathematical, relationships, geometric angles, etc., and print out these elegant colored charts and information. Makes it super easy for us. Okay, Well, what is the relationship between this natal birth chart and your life? So let me clear up one gigantic misconception is the planets do not cause you to be anything, and they do not cause you to do anything. There are no rays being shooting down from Jupiter to your brain to make something happen, okay? The relationship between your natal birth chart and the planets and you and your life is a symbolic, acausal. Notice that word, acausal, that means not cause and effect relationship. It's a meaningful relationship, but not a causal relationship. There's no cause and effect. Okay. So, how can something that happened at the moment of your birth possibly be in any way meaningfully related to you and your life? How could that possibly be? The truth of that reality lives outside the realm of the normal belief system that most people live in. So they can't conceive of there being that connection between the two. And rather than trying to give you mountains upon mountains of statistical data that will only serve to feed your brain with things, and you can still wind up, with doubts or questions, a much easier approach to take is your direct experience, because your direct experience is what reveals the truth for you on a very personal level, okay? So if I look at your birth chart and I say, Susan or Jim, you have this and this and this and this, and that your inclination is to be this way and that way and that way, you're going to know that that's true. You're going to be able to validate this as, valid for you. If there are things that are revealed in your birth chart that you maybe only had an inkling about, or maybe you knew were true, but you never told anybody, you're going to get an incredible level of validation. And if there are things that maybe they were uncomfortable, you didn't want to face them, so you sort of bury them in a more subconscious kind of way, but we can open that door and look at them in a very loving and compassionate manner. You can have the courage to see those things and look at those things and validate those things and open that door to see, wow, maybe I shut down emotionally when I was 4 years old because such and such a thing happened. And that has affected my life very adversely, but I didn't really know it. And now I do. Now I'm 43 and I do know it, and I can do something about that to shift that. And so my birth chart has revealed something powerful for me that I can work on, okay? So the bottom line, once again, the proof is in the pudding, the proof is in the pudding. So trust your experience. Now, if you're the kind of individual that has lived your whole life with a core belief that you can only trust science or hard data or authorities or experts or people who tell you what is true and what must be true, if you're in that mode, and that you can never really trust your own inner experience, then you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck in that paradigm and in that mode. Now, it's not bad. I love science. I love data. I love statistics. I love all those things, right? But I don't consider them to be the ultimate determinant, of what is true for me on a personal level. So what I would invite you to do is maintain those beliefs that you have. That's fine. And just simply open yourself up to another possibility of having a deeper level of knowing and a deeper sense of truth and a deeper way to validate what is real for you. Then if you want to go back to science, authority, statistics, fine. People will use all these kinds of things, whatever, interchangeably. But open yourself up and you will discover extraordinary new avenues of profound information. When you reach a point in your life when you realize that working in a job is no longer really going to work for you, that you've had your fill of that, you've done enough of it, you've hit the end of the road, You know that you want to live your life on your own terms. You want to be an authentic person and sharing what's in your heart and your soul, what carries the greatest meaning, power, and purpose to you. And you realize, well, that's going to have to be some type of business in order for that to work. But you don't really know what the business is. You've got some choices. You can rush into something. There's hundreds of business choices out there. You can just arbitrarily pick something and say, oh, that kind of looks good, and I'll just go do that. Or you can do something different. You can say, wait a minute, there are some deep truths inside of me. There's a sense of life or soul purpose. Wouldn't it make more sense for me to really know with depth, with certainty, with confidence, that I'm living in alignment with this deep inner knowing, that this deep inner truth inside of me, and that I'm basing my life choices and decisions based on that? That's what we call life purpose. And life crafting, we do a deep dive of self-exploration and inquiry so that you can discover what that is. It's an in-depth process. It's not superficial, and it requires patience, determination, and diligence to see it through. But once you get there, once you reach that point of inner knowing, it will be deeply moving to you, because it's the point where your physical being meets the divine in you, where that center, that creative essence of you speaks to you, and you feel it and you know it in your heart and soul. It's not just an idea. It's something that becomes the center of your reality and your universe. That's the point where we work with people to get to that knowing in life crafting. And we use every conceivable means to get there. And when you're there, you don't need any external, justification. It is its own validation. It is its own assurance. And that will become your true north, or your vector of action from that point forward. It is, when we use the expression, is this on purpose for you? Is it in alignment with your purpose? Once you're there, then and you realize it makes no sense to spend time with something that is not on purpose for you. From that place of that inner knowing and that certainty, we help you create an ideal business where you make money doing what you love. How do you do that? Well, we have a secret sauce that allows you to go from the knowing of your life purpose to a profitable, extraordinary business where you have maximum impact in the world and the quality of people's lives, because it is your genius and you're paid well to do that. And we use astrology, and we use intuition, and we use every other method you can think of to get there. We have a core saying in life crafting that the chain is only as strong as the weakest link. And we also know that there are many ways in which people have weak links or broken links that they're unaware of. It's never been pointed out to them. And unfortunately, when you continue working, pursuing your goals with broken links in the chain, you wind up a little bit like the proverbial hamster on the wheel, spinning without really going anywhere. So what's so unique about the Life Crafting Mastermind program and all the dynamic elements that we bring into it is that you get to see your broken and weak links so you can fix them. The broken and weak links that virtually no one else will tell you about because they don't know where to look for them, okay? And you get to validate that they are in fact super important, and that everything, when it's working together, is like a fine-tuned system. And I want to make a little analogy here. When an engineer builds a structure, like builds a bridge or a skyscraper or something, We all know that engineers use what we call a systems model, a systems orientation, where every part of the system supports every other part of the system, and no one part can be compromised or weak, because the whole system will collapse if it isn't there. So hundreds of millions of dollars are devoted to engineering in that context, okay? Same thing with software. When you build a software product, you beat it to death. You get 100 beta testers to try to break it, so you know it cannot be broken. So why wouldn't you apply the same kind of systems-oriented thinking to your life and to your business and to your future and to your success and to your fulfillment in life? That is what we do. But we do it on a human level, not just on a functional, physical, measurable level. We include the emotional sphere, the spiritual sphere, the psychological sphere. We include all the parts that influence the inevitable outcome. In other words, the interdependencies between the parts that can't be ignored. And that's what happens in our mastermind, where all the interdependencies are included and recognized and appreciated and built upon that as a creative framework for moving forward. And that's what makes it so unique.